On the southern outskirts of Pokrovsk, as the dust of the battlefield still hung low over wet trenches and scattered concrete debris, soldiers of Ukraine's 25th Airborne Brigade once again demonstrated why they are known as one of the most lethal units in modern warfare. Behind the scenes of this silent movement, their drone operators worked tirelessly, turning the skies into a precision execution field. The attack began in the early morning hours, when frontline intelligence reported a concentration of Russian infantry moving in the shadows of damaged buildings south of the city. Quickly, aerial reconnaissance teams lifted high-powered FPV drones, shattering the pre-dawn silence with a barely audible metallic hum. From high above, thermal cameras captured enemy shadows forming tactical patterns among the rubble and brush. But it was precisely these patterns that paved the way for Ukrainian forces to lock on to their targets. Within seconds, the operators unleashed a wave of precision strikes, each drone gliding like an electric arrow guided by an invisible hand. One by one, Russian infantry elements broke from their formations, some trying to take cover behind wrecked vehicles, others attempted to scatter into open fields. But the aerial pursuit was too fast, too precise, and too coordinated for them to avoid. Every enemy movement was immediately detected, every exposed position a new point of attack. In a few hours of intense operations, dozens of Russian personnel were neutralized, shattering their efforts to suppress Ukrainian defenses in the sector south of Pokrovsk. The offensive was not only a tactical victory, but also a powerful message. This region was no safe haven for any aggressor. When the dust finally settled, reconnaissance drones made a final round over the area of operations, ensuring there were no remaining threats. The troops of the 25th Airborne Brigade remained on the front lines, never abandoning their positions of resistance, ready to meet the next wave. With impeccable air coordination, the courage of ground troops, and the lethal precision of unmanned technology, Ukraine reasserted its dominance in the air and on the battlefield, especially in Pokrovsk, where every day was a test for those defending their homeland to the last. At the same time, Russian forces are disintegrating in Pokrovsk as soldiers refuse orders, choosing prison over what they call suicide missions. The battle has evolved into a lethal war of shadows fought by small autonomous groups, with desertion becoming the logical outcome of a system sending unwilling troops into a drone-dominated meat grinder. The battle for the town has slowly become a lethal war of shadows with almost no chance of survival. The Russian army is disintegrating under the weight of its own losses, and its push to capture Pokrovsk turns into a slow-motion collapse of morale and unit-level desertions. Soldiers whisper among themselves that entering Pokrovsk means certain annihilation by Ukrainian artillery and drones, as videos from the area reveal the growing panic within the Russian ranks. In one, an agitated officer films two soldiers who refuse to go into the town, both saying they prefer prison over suicide missions. One claims a medical condition, the other shows a wound, but the officer is unmoved. For many Russian soldiers, the order to attack Pokrovsk has become synonymous with a death sentence. Such scenes are no longer rare, as the Russian army's losses in the sector are so extreme that many contract soldiers, who once enlisted for bonuses, now see imprisonment or even death in custody as preferable to the slaughter awaiting them on the front. But these men will not be sent back to Russia to serve prison terms, as the Russian command sacrifices such penal battalions as cannon fodder and bait to reveal Ukrainian fire positions. Inside Pokrovsk itself, the battle has evolved into a war of shadows, with the mass assaults of the first 2 years of the Russian invasion gone. Now, a dispersed conflict is fought by small, almost autonomous groups, with both sides having adapted to the drone-dominated battlefield that prevents large-scale movement. The Russians use micro-units of infiltrators, 2 or 3 men slipping through rubble, hiding in basements, probing for Ukrainian strongpoints. The Ukrainians counter them with their own ghostly patrols, reconnaissance teams that move in pairs or trios, each guided by a drone in the sky with thermal vision. Meanwhile, the soldiers themselves carry portable electronic warfare devices. These patrols are silent, highly mobile, and lethal, despite engagements that rarely involve more than a handful of soldiers on each side. One street, one courtyard, or one collapsed apartment block may become a self-contained battlefield for hours. This war of shadows is a direct consequence of the omnipresence of surveillance and FPV drones, as any concentration of troops or vehicle movement is immediately detected and destroyed. The main forces of both sides now remain roughly 10 kilometers outside the town limits, unable to advance through the open fields that have become killing grounds. Inside Pokrovsk, only the smallest, bravest, and most disciplined units can survive. For the Russians, infiltration serves to maintain a symbolic push forward and to create the illusion of control, while for the Ukrainians, the mission is to contain, hunt, and eliminate these infiltrators before they can threaten logistics or weaken defensive cohesion. The defenders operate with speed and precision, detect the enemy, fix them in place by surrounding and suppressing them, neutralizing the trapped soldiers with rifles, grenades, bombs, or drones, and withdraw before Russian drones can kill them in return. This new model of urban warfare rewards skill, awareness, and endurance more than numbers. Yet for the Russians, whose units are filled with unwilling conscripts and penal soldiers, it has become an unsustainable meat grinder. Their desertions and refusal to fight are the logical outcome of a system that sends men to die for objectives already lost in the chaos of the gray zone. Overall, despite the terrible nature of this fighting, Ukraine's army does not need to reclaim every block of Pokrovsk. What matters is keeping Russian territorial control south of the railway line, serving as a tactical barrier from the still defended north. While the Azov units push east of Rodinska to relieve pressure and reopen Mirnohrad's northern approach, Ukrainian defenders inside Pokrovsk only need to hold long enough to keep that corridor alive. If Mirnohrad's connection stays open, the town can continue to resist, or if necessary, conduct an organized withdrawal under cover of the northern